You ready, baby?
Is this thing on?
It most definitely is. Well, howdy, y'all. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Counting Worms. How you doing, baby?
I can't complain. I mean, I'm not counting worms.
That's a good point. My name is Scott, and across from me is my lovely bride, Sarah, and our fat cat named Tummy, who's joining us today. We're calling him our pod cat, and that's a bad joke. All right, today's episode, which is episode number
2.
2.
Yeah.
And
it's a
they
big
said it
one.
wouldn't last.
Yeah.
That's right. And we've got official iTunes ratings. We are podcast number 10,000.
I believe that's a big fat lie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is a lie. No, today's episode is going to be a little bit shorter. It's going to be a mini-sode.
Mini pod.
A mini pod. And today's topic is stupid people who get too close to animals and perish.
There's actually a psychological term for that.
Is there now?
There is.
What is that?
Agriozoomania.
Agriozoomania.
The obsessive love of wild animals.
Like love, or
No.
Okay.
Not like the kind of love I discussed last time.
right?
It would be no, just being really obsessed with being close. But again, not that kind of close.
Right. Not too close.
Not too close. Not too
Close enough to be killed, but not
yeah,
intimate close.
not intimate. Yeah, not the intimate kind of close.
All right. Well, we have a few stories to tell you today. I hope you'll find them entertaining. Hon, you want to do the first one? Or I could do the first one.
No, you go first.
All
you
right.
Go first.
This first story takes place in India. And for those of you who don't know, and I know we're new to each other, but my wife is something of a geography buff.
Oh, yes, very much, very
And
much.
so I'm going to paint the picture for you, and let's see if you can get a visual in your mind. So you know the northern states of Punjab and Haryana, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
They're my two favorites.
Okay, so this story takes place at the Chatbir Zoo in the town of Zirakpur.
My favorite
Do
town.
you know Zirakpur, right?
Yes, it's just on the other side of my other favorite town.
Yes. Well, it's a town that's about 20 kilometers from Chandigarh.
That's what I was going to say.
I knew that.
I just didn't want to steal
I
your
know
thunder.
you knew that. Thank you.
Didn't want to steal your thunder.
So at the zoo, this is a typical day. Lots of people. Now, and one part of the zoo was a lion safari type thing. It wasn't a place you could get to by walking. The only way you could get to it is get on one of these buses, these trams, and they would drive you up to it. And they had 4 lions that were hanging out, and people love to see that.
You're a lion.
I got the volume
Thank
turned
God.
down.
Thank God.
All right. So, let's see here. There were several buses at the time filled with tourists, all looking around at the lions. And at the back side of the safari area, there were multiple different reports of the height of this particular fence or a concrete wall, but it ranged from 12 feet to 25 feet in the different stories. So let's just pick a midpoint and say it's roughly 20 feet tall. And there's barbed wire at the top of this thing. Behind the wall is...
Lions?
No, the Ganjar River, baby.
Oh,
you know that.
my bad.
You
Of
know
course.
that. So in the safari area, there's 4 lions, 2 lions, 2 lionesses, and 1 lion, Yuvrog, and 1 lioness, Shilpa.
She's my favorite.
I know, she's sweet. They were both outside of their cages because the tourists like to see them in their
That's what they're
natural
there for.
habitat. And this is about and everything's going fine. Everybody's hanging out in the buses and looking and ooh and on, and they're prancing around. Everything's cool.
It's a safari.
Well, here's where the story goes sideways a bit. A man, approximately, again, the reports were varied, but let's just say
Are
25.
you telling me the papers were not being clear?
Yeah, they were a little bit ambiguous, but we'll just split the difference and say 25 years old. Not a paying customer, but he apparently wants to check out the lions anyway. So he hikes through the jungle behind the zoo, behind the wall, and proceeds to scale this 12 to 25 foot concrete wall. So the zoo security team sees him at the top of the wall, and they're yelling at him and
Come on in.
No, they're saying, "Get on down, down,
get down in
back to the jungle."
Oh, back to the jungle.
Back to the jungle. And they're trying to engage him in conversation and tell him to come down. Well, he came down all right, but on the wrong side of the wall. And now he's inside of the safari exhibit. And at this time, like I said, there are several busfuls of tourists watching this play out.
Well, thankfully, lions are just big kittens.
Yeah, they're just having a good time. So the Punjab wildlife chief, Dr. Kuldeep Kumar, said that, quote, "Lionesses have a very curious nature, and Shilpa saw something falling from a great height inside their territory. And so, quote, she rushed in to take a look and
She wondered what it was.
and found her prey.
Well, you know how cats are.
So
Like Tummy. Like my fat cat here.
Yeah, well, this one was a little bit bigger than Tummy, but so Shilpa instantly attacked this guy and grabbed a hold of his neck
That's what lions do.
and started dragging him around back toward their cage area. And Yuvraj joined in the fun
Oh, well, it's a team sport.
and pounced on the man, and the lion's jaws latched onto his head.
Oh, man.
That's going to leave a mark. So I'm going to quote the story, and this is a little game for us, baby. I'm going to start the sentence and you finish it, okay?
Okay.
They started shaking him like a
Ragdoll.
ragdoll. Good going.
Living in a movie.
That's right. That's perfect. And all the while, the tourists in the buses are sitting there watching this whole thing in horror while this lion's got this guy's head in their
Oh,
mouth.
dear.
So
Was it good or bad for business?
Well,
We don't know. Sorry, continue on.
yeah, a team of specialists entered the safari area and got the lions back to their enclosures without the need for tranquilizers, they mentioned.
Oh, well done.
And there's a great quote here from the zoo's field director, and it says, "We suspect that he was drunk as..." No, but wait, this gets better. "We suspect that he was drunk as it is impossible for a normal person to scale the boundary wall, which is so high."
Wait, what? Wait.
So only a drunk person could pull the athletic move of scaling a 12 to 25
Maybe
foot
he was
high wall.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
So this attack lasted somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 minutes.
Holy shit.
And so he was eventually rushed to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced
Counting worms.
counting worms, indeed.
Wow.
So that's one story. So I guess the moral of that story is don't jump into the lion's enclosure.
Don't jump into the lion's den.
And if you're drunk and you've got extra wall scaling abilities, don't take them out at the zoo.
Save it for somewhere else.
That's right. An obstacle course or something.
You know, there's that French guy that scales buildings all the time.
That's right. And gets arrested and stuff.
Yeah, but he never
He's never had his head inside of a lion's mouth. That's true.
And people always end up cheering him.
Yeah. They might have been cheering too from the tourist buses, but that wasn't
I don't think
that wasn't written about.
That
so I
probably
can't tell you.
wasn't cheering. I'm betting.
All right, baby. So that's my first story. Tell me your first story.
That's not bad.
It's
That's not bad. Well, my first story is a little different than that because we all know to be afraid of lions and bears and stuff like that.
Lions and lions and bears.
Oh my!
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean those are big scary predators. Well, I mean, I say we all know to be afraid of those, but I guess we don't. I guess not when we're drunk and we're scaling giant walls. How did he get past the barbed wire?
He was drunk.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
A normal person wouldn't have been able to do
A
that.
normal person. Well, but not when you're Spider-Man. Well, most of us know that lions and tigers and bears are scary predators and we should stay away from them. But what about cute, cuddly, industrious little beavers?
That sounds cute.
I mean, yeah.
I'd get close.
Yeah. I mean, we almost hunted those poor little guys to extinction with their furry, cute little faces, building all their little
I
dams.
love beavers.
All buck-toothed. Yeah, you do. Well, so a 60-year-old fisherman on Lake Shestakov in Belarus, which is a country between Russia and Poland.
Of course.
Which I will have to post a map onto our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, because I had no idea where Belarus is.
You?
Me.
The geography buff?
I am, in fact, I have 3 degrees in geography. I hang them right next to my medical degree.
Nice.
Which we discussed in episode 1.
That's true.
I got it off the internet. I got it for $50.
You're also a pastor.
I am.
In the Universal Church.
I am.
From the internet.
From the internet.
God bless the internet.
Well, the 60-year-old fisherman is out with his buddies, and he sees this adorable little beaver, and he says, I've got to get a picture. I have got to get a picture of this adorable little critter. But as it turns out, the beaver was not in the mood at all. I mean, he was downright feisty.
I didn't know beavers had moods, but now I know.
Really? You were in college, right? I mean, really?
There you go.
I'm surprised you could make it through frat house days and not know. Anyhow.
Yes.
Beavers have moods.
All right.
He decided, this little beaver, that the old guy had gotten a little too close for comfort, and so he attacked, biting him in the thigh.
Okay.
Well, it was one nasty bite. He severed his femoral artery.
That's not good, right?
It's not good. And it's kind of like if you've ever seen one of those ER shows or anything where you get cut in the leg and it starts shooting blood, like literally like 3 feet. That's what the femoral artery does. Every time your heart beats, pew, 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 pew. It's pretty cool. And, you didn't know I could do sound effects, but I'm really good at it.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. So this 60-year-old guy, he literally bleeds to death before they can even get him to a hospital. Now, this is a totally true story, but the family's refusing to release this guy's name. But you can look it up. It happened in April of 2013, and you can find a ton of really great, reputable news sources talking about it. And just as a side note, adorable little beavers, they can get to be 3 feet tall and weigh 65 pounds. They are the second largest rodent, and those cute little buck teeth, can saw through a tree that's 3 feet wide. Yikes. Just to give you an idea, we also have a sweet little pit bull terrier named Finley. She's 65 pounds. So
that's pretty big.
That's a big rodent, and a beaver's teeth are quite a bit bigger. So one bite straight through the femoral artery.
So how does a fisherman come in contact with a beaver? Was he fishing a stream or something?
Yeah, they were at this lake, Lake Shestakov.
Oh, that's right.
And so the beavers comes ashore,
That's in Belarus, isn't it?
It is. It is Belarus. Yeah. So, how about that? A beaver. Yeah. It's a wild animal, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I would never have thought that of a beaver.
Yeah. They bite.
Yeah. Apparently so.
Now you know.
All right. right. Well, the next story that I'm going to do here, excuse me, is from China. Another area you're very familiar with, honey,
Very.
I know.
Yes.
It's from the Jiaizhou Wildlife Park in the province of Shandong.
Yes.
Exactly. Shandong.
Well, you just wanted to talk about Dong because of my beaver. Don't lie.
I had to do it.
Don't do. If you do that again, I will take the beating stick. We brought a beating stick from because of last week. I am now equipped with a beating stick. Don't you do that again.
Oh, damn it.
Anyway.
Okay, anyway. So a tourist from northern China on a weekend visit to the zoo accidentally slipped into an unguarded pool where, guess what was swimming in that unguarded pool?
What?
A walrus.
Oh, well, those seem pretty nice.
They are pretty nice. You've probably seen cartoons where they're dancing and laughing and smoking a cigar and
I've
stuff.
seen them at SeaWorld.
Yeah, and they're
Where
sweet.
they're playing instruments and
They're sweet. Well, I have to say, I saw photos of this particular wildlife park and this little area where the pool was, and it is insane. I mean, it is insane. There is a concrete walkway about, I guess it's about 5 feet wide, and it kind of goes in a big semicircle, and it's big. You could probably have hundreds of people on this thing at one time, and people are walking from one exhibit to the other on this concrete walkway, which is straddling 2 big pools of water. There's no barriers, there's no bars, there's no protective thing. And so there's a guy trying to get a closer look. He's a businessman trying to get a closer look at the walrus and take a selfie.
nice.
That's what humans do.
Ah,
And what was the name of those types of people? That Zoomania.
Agriozumania.
Thank you. So he's one of those guys, and he wants to get a selfie with a walrus for his Instagram account. Okay. Now, walruses are big, maybe bigger than you would think. Guess how much this particular walrus weighed?
I have 1,000 pounds.
Nope. 3,300 pounds.
Oh my God. Like the size of a car?
Like a small car,
Oh
yes.
my God.
So the guy turns his back to the walrus because he's holding his camera out. He's trying to get a selfie.
The best thing to do with wild animals is turn your back on them to get a picture.
And so walruses kind of have arms or flipper kind of
flippers.
things. And so witnesses said that the walrus kind of jumps up out of the water, wraps his arms around this dude who's taking a selfie, and pulls him back into his pool.
Well, he wanted to give him a hug.
Yeah.
He says, I'll give you a good picture.
Yeah. The other people around the pool got some good pictures. I don't know about this guy, though. So the walrus drags him under the water. He's playing with him. The zoo staff watched, believing the spectacle to be, quote, playful behavior.
Oh my God.
So before long, people are watching this, and the walrus's longtime trainer, whose name was Duan, it's like Juan with a D,
Mm-hmm.
he jumped in to save this tourist. He'd been taking care of this walrus for over a decade and had been taking care of him since he was a little baby walrus.
Oh,
And
this
he
isn't
was
going to end well for
he
Dwan.
said he was said to be the closest human friend that the walrus had, and they loved each other. It was very sweet.
The
but-
walrus is a wild animal.
But soon, Duan was dragged underwater as well. Other zoo workers
and
rushed.
Dwan was gone.
Duan was gone. Other zoo workers tried to use bamboo poles to drive away the walrus, but unfortunately, by the time the 2 men were rescued, they were dead. Now, I think they used the wrong word there.
Yeah.
They weren't really rescued. They were recovered, retrieved, or yeah. So anyway, zoo officials said that the walrus had a mild temper and really loved to play with the humans.
Well, apparently.
He said the
Just didn't understand they can't breathe underwater.
yeah. They said that the two victims were said to both be strong swimmers, and the walrus had killed them by, quote, hugging them too tightly.
Hey, refer to episode 1.
That's right. Exactly. So apparently
We've learned something about the walrus.
Yes, we have. Apparently the footage that people took of this event exploded over social media in China. Now, I haven't seen any of it, but... So the interesting part, other than this whole story, is that since the accident, visitors to the park are still able to walk on this walkway above the walrus pool. It remains open, and so far, the park has said that they have no plans to install a barrier or banister or railing to stop guests from slipping into the tank. So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, so if you have any interest in swimming with the walruses, you've heard of swimming with the dolphins, now you go with the walrus. It might not be quite as romantic, but
Yeah.
anyway, that's in the Pudong, Shandong, I'm sorry.
Well, it just goes to
Shandong province.
Well, it just goes to show you we've kind of animals have become so unreal to us,
Yeah.
Now that we see them in these, controlled environments, we
Right.
just don't think they're dangerous anymore,
No.
even when we know they're dangerous.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can go visit the walrus.
From afar.
Yeah.
I'll take my telephoto
Yeah.
lens.
Yeah, I'll just go sit on the wall and get a good selfie.
All right. So we've got a beaver, a walrus,
A lion.
and a lion.
Well, my
Who's
next
next?
Yeah, my next story is a bonus story because it's both contains stupid people and a murder.
Ooh.
That's pretty exciting.
Pray tell.
So since we've been and we've gone to lands far, far away, I think it's time that we come back to the good old U.S. of A.
Perfect. Let's do a local story.
Let's do a local story. This one happened in 2011, and we have to travel way down south to Florida.
Nice.
We're going to meet a sweet couple named Jaren Hare.
Sharon Hare?
Jaren.
Jaren. Oh.
Jaren Hare.
Oh,
She's 21.
Oh, I see.
And her darling boyfriend, Charles Darnell, 34.
Nice. Okay.
And it's bad because he has 2 first names.
Yeah. That
Charles Darnell.
never works out
That's
well.
never good.
Bad
That's
sign.
a bad
I
sign.
got a bad feeling about
Bad idea. 2 first names. You see, they have a sweet little girl, 2 years old.
this. Oh.
Don't get attached.
Oh, no.
Don't get attached. I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh, jeez.
We're going to make this as fast as we can because you don't want to get attached to this little girl.
What's her name?
I'm not going to even
Oh.
I'm not going there. I'm not going to give you a name. It's best if we just don't get attached.
All right.
So one day they realized they'd not seen this little girl in a while. Where in the world could she be?
Oh, Lord.
They look high, they look low. Oh man, where in the world have they left their little girl?
Let's call her Jane.
Nope, we're not going to call her anything.
Okay.
You did Jane. You did Jane last week. It didn't turn out good for that one either.
That's true. Okay.
So they looked high and low. Oh man, where is that girl? Well, they couldn't find her.
Okay.
And at this time, they start realizing that they had learned the hard way that a bedspread, bungee cords, and safety pins just don't keep a fully grown Burmese python in an aquarium.
Oh.
I mean, can you believe that?
No.
I know, even with the safety pins.
Were they big safety pins or were they the little?
I mean, they're
tiny
like
ones?
the little diaper
Okay. Yeah.
size ones.
Okay.
I mean, so they were pretty good size.
That wouldn't hold them?
No,
And what was the other thing? Duct tape, did you say?
no,
bungee
don't be.
cords.
No, duct tape is in Texas.
That's true.
I mean, this is Florida.
Okay.
So it turns out their fully grown Burmese python had escaped this contraption on numerous occasions. Hard to believe, but I would not lie to you. This day it had also escaped, as it had so many times before.
Mm-hmm.
And when they found it,
Oh, jeez.
and their daughter, the snake had already coiled around her completely and was biting her face.
Oh.
And for those of you that know anything about a Burmese python, that is a kill stance, meaning the girl was already dead. A horrible and tragic accident, you might say. However, I promised you a murder.
Oh, boy.
You see, law enforcement was well aware of this very large snake's numerous escapes, and they felt its cage was insufficient.
I see.
You see. So to add insult to injury, an adult Burmese python should weigh in the neighborhood of 150 pounds. However, poor Jaron and Charles had fallen on some very hard times, and neither were gainfully employed.
Mm-hmm.
So they simply quit feeding the snake. And it had withered away to a skeleton of its former self, and that snake had weighed in at a truly starving 13 pounds.
Seriously? Oh, my Lord.
And a literally starving to death snake is a mean and desperate snake.
That's true.
And this led law enforcement to decide this couple was more than just negligent. So they charged them with third-degree murder and manslaughter of a child. And they are both serving 12 years in prison for those two crimes of which they were convicted.
Wow. Well, so the moral of that story, I don't know what it is. If you have a Burmese python, you should feed it.
You should feed it,
Right.
and you should use more than a bedspread, bungee cords, and safety pins to keep it in its enclosure.
They could take a page out of Texas's book and bust out some duct tape.
Duct tape would have worked.
Yep.
I'm sure of it. So even though this is a mini-sode, and I do have one quick little fun, we can't end it without doing Texas.
Fun fact?
A fun
Texas
fact.
fun fact?
A Texas fun fact.
Okay.
And then we'll do our sources.
Okay.
But I have to bring it back to Texas just because this is a truly Texas story. Now, nobody dies in this one. I'm very sorry. I don't want to disappoint anybody. But just for fun, one very quick, very, very Texas story.
Yes.
On May 27th of 2018,
Yeah.
a man and his wife were doing yard work at their home in Texas when they spotted a 4-foot rattlesnake.
Okay.
And hubby, thinking quickly, grabs a shovel and decapitates the snake.
Okay.
My hero. But obviously, he is not a guy who watches true crime or listens to podcasts like ours. He does not know that you can't just reach down and grab a holt of a decapitated head because things twitch and move. We all know that.
We do.
Just because things been chopped up don't mean it stops moving.
Yeah. So he was fixing. What was he fixing to do?
He was fixing to grab a hold of it.
Okay.
So this knucklehead reaches down and grabs it to dispose of it with no knowledge of how these things happen. And the fangs clamp down on his hand and release all of their venom.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, just so you know, for those of you that are not Texan, when you get bit by a rattlesnake, it stores up venom enough for a million years. A rattlesnake, when they bite you, they don't need to release all their venom because they save that stuff up. They're not going to waste all their venom on you. They just only need to leave they just use a little bit.
Right.
But this is a decapitated head.
Not thinking clearly. Right.
Not a lot of blood getting to the brain.
Right.
So when the decapitated head of a rattlesnake bites down, all of the venom in the decapitated head is released.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot. So the man immediately began experiencing seizures, loss of vision, and internal bleeding.
Ouch.
Ouch. He literally falls to the ground and begins seizing, not like a normal bite. His wife calls 911, and he required air ambulance and a helicopter to get him to critical care. Yikes. Doctors initially told the man's wife he will not make it. He was administered 26 doses of a very expensive antivenom when a typical snake bite victim only requires 2 to 4 doses. The thoughts were, yikes, I don't think this guy's going to make it. And they said, well, we'll just have to wait and see.
And?
The man's condition did stabilize, and the only thing he has is weak kidney function. He may end up needing a kidney transplant.
So he could show up on a later story on our podcast.
Well, he's probably going to need a kidney transplant, but he survived.
Wow.
He's not counting worms, probably because of the vision.
That's a little twist on our normal story.
Vision loss prevents him from counting worms in his current state. But
I'll be honest, I didn't grow up here.
right.
I was a city boy.
Yep.
And I can tell you, if I chopped the head off of a snake, I would assume it's probably okay. I still don't think I would have picked it up with my hands. I would have used a shovel to scoop up the head and throw it into the trash can. But I didn't know that they could bite still like that.
Let's take the honesty a step further.
Yes.
If you and I were doing yard work out here
Right.
in Texas and we saw a snake,
I don't like where this is going.
if one of us, if the snake was decapitated, it wouldn't have been the husband that decapitated the snake.
What are you saying exactly? What are you driving at?
I think what I'm driving at is one of us would have relocated,
Shrieking.
and one of us would have stayed to identify whether or not the snake was even a threat, and whether or not something needed to be done.
I think you know what I'm going to say to you. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you in front of our millions of listeners?
Because we've had a similar incident to this.
Yeah. What, the bat?
No. Well, that's another story. But no, I was talking about the rat snake.
Oh, the rat snake.
And I said, I understand your concern, but you're going to have to leave that little guy. He's a good guy.
Over the years, I think I've gotten better with that kind of thing. Snakes and
critters.
Critters. Right. And those spiders that you can look out in the backyard and shine your flashlight and you see all their eyeballs looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't like them, but I've learned to cohabitate with them to some degree.
From inside, where they can't get you.
Well, that's a good story, baby. Should we do the sources?
Yes, we should.
All right. Well, I'll do mine first. In the Storia the story from India. That the sources were a Newsweek story by Kashmira Jander, and from the Outlook India Web Bureau. They had a story there. No author was named. And the Sun. There was a story there from John Lockett. And for my walrus story, the DailyMail.com had a story by Sophie Williams, and The Express had a story by Ollie Smith that I gleaned information from. Honey?
And so you can get my beaver story from all kinds of places, but where I pulled my information was from The Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
And then my Florida story was from Ranker, and the author was Beth Elias. And it's super easy to find my rattlesnake story because it was ABC News. So super, super easy.
Nice.
Yeah. And Nat Geo is is one of the places I found the information about love of wild animals.
Oh, the Zoomania people?
Yeah,
Nice.
Zoomania. So pretty exciting. So this was a shorty, but we'll go right back to doing the long ones where we don't know what the other person is up to on our next episode.
Ooh, that's exciting. That's a tease.
Yeah, but
that's what they call in the business a tease.
And we really did submit our episode 1, and we'll submit this one to iTunes, but they said they have to review it. So we're being ostracized and reviewed, and we don't even know what that means, but they said 4 days to 2 weeks.
Yeah, but we'll get it out there for you.
So once we get done with the Inquisition and they stop tearing us apart.
So if you liked this episode and the previous one and ones to come, I hope you will. Will you
rate, review, and subscribe?
Rate, review, subscribe.
And
There
tell
you go.
all your friends and all your neighbors, at least the ones that won't think you're weird.
Yeah, this is kind of an odd topic, but anything else before we say goodbye?
Just come see us again, and we'll be thinking of some clever thing to end these with.
Oh,
We're really
damn.
trying to come up with
Oh,
it.
damn. What was it? We had talked about something.
Well, we had kind of started brainstorming, but didn't really get anywhere.
Well, you're going to have to
mean,
tune into the next episode to
Yeah,
hear our
just
clever sign
yeah.
off.
And if you have any great, clever ideas, go ahead and put it on our Facebook, our Twitter, or our Instagram, because we are looking for ideas. So if you're clever, share with us.
And you can email us too.
Oh yeah, you can
That's
email
true.
us.
And it is countingwormspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah,
We'll have to start checking that.
yeah.
Because now that I've said it, I mean,
Yeah.
my God, it's
My
going
God,
to
it's
be
going to be
overrun.
overrun. Yeah, it'll be
Oh,
crazy. There's so many of you.
Lord.
There's got to be at least 3 of you out there.
All right. Well, I love you, baby. That was fun. And we'll see you all next time around. Anything else, huh?
No,
All right.
let's do this.
Adios.